Our name was not let out. The only person, and I had not spoken to any person regarding Wanda's name, to anybody except Detective Melich, when I gave him that. To nobody, because I'm not going to rat out any lead or tip or do anything that's going to jeopardize the investigation.
All I was trying to find out was this first-hand knowledge she had, and was there any interaction with him? How did this lead get out there? Because it's strange when all of a sudden somebody's calling you and not the crime line, but you just explained.
Well, she tried. She said she tried for over 2 days.
And we had no knowledge of that at that time.
Right.
And so after talking to her that day, like I said, we did send those leads out. And then once again, she called again on Monday. And I was actually waiting on someone else for this case to get involved doing something else. And she wanted to come in and talk. I said, well, how many times have you talked to Orange County? She said, well, 3 different times. And I've provided a sketch, but they haven't put the sketch out there. I said, well, you've talked to them 3 different times. I don't feel there's anything else you could really add to me. I said, this lead has been, sent out. It's going to be taken care of. And that was her concern. And she threw some things out there like, it's falling on deaf ears, nothing's going on. I said, ma'am, unfortunately, in cases like this, there's going to be leads from everywhere.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. And so there's, Orange County, they're doing what they can to, look at these leads. That's why, we're trying to handle the out-of-state leads after at least trying to handle the in-state leads. I mean, and there's a lot of people involved, and I don't think some people understand that.
I hope they are doing everything they can, because she told me that right after that person did the sketch, actually she's involved her 14-year-old son in this too. You're well aware of that. Her 14-year-old son was also brought into McDonald's, statement taken. I mean, most mothers wouldn't bring in their children into something like this unless they had pretty, definite feelings about it. I know I certainly wouldn't involve my kids if on a whim on something of this magnitude. What was my point? That the officer, after he took the sketch, he leaned into her and says, I don't know why we're doing this because the little girl's dead. And that's upsetting to family members. It's upsetting to people like her. To hear those types of things, and from the way everything's being handled right now, it's very obvious right now that they're focusing their concerns on building a case against my daughter. And for whatever reasons, that's fine. They can do whatever they want, but I don't want the investigation stopped into looking for Kaylee, because I know my daughter did not kill her, and I have more and more things that I want to share with you today, it's just very disheartening the way everything is from the judge. It sounds like, nobody on these charges, or not even charged, she's not even charged with anything, should be treated this way. A $500,000 bond on something for 2 misdemeanors and a 3rd-degree felon. She hasn't even been formally charged with anything.
When you say she hasn't been formally charged,
she hasn't been charged with anything.
In relation to what?
Into anything that would constitute a $500,000 bail.
Okay, but we are all of the understanding she has been formally charged with crimes.
No, not as far as the attorney says. She hasn't been formally charged with.
The way it works,
she hasn't been formally charged with anything as it relates to the disappearance of Kaylee itself.
Right.
She has been charged with crimes as they relate to the investigation.
Right, like misleading or something like that.
Right, the obstruction and the interference and the child
neglect, which
are
saying,
crimes.
Right,
Okay.
if there's child neglect. But
right, but I'm not saying guilty, not guilty. What I'm saying is I want to clarify to you.
The way the media is and the way the Sheriff's Department is focusing, and even the judge's rulings, it's hard for the public. I get phone calls all the time that say, that they're saying that they stand behind us, they believe Casey, they believe in everything we're doing, and they believe Kaylee's alive. But we get this 1 or 2 phone calls that say, give it up, she's dead, things like that. It only takes 1 or 2 people like that could potentially be looking for her, that may have crossed her path, that we're impeding finding this child. And that's the point where I'm very frustrated with, because it's almost like in the eyes of the media and the eyes of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, they already have an open and shut case against my daughter. There's a lot of evidence out there that's not evidenced yet. There's a lot of misstatements out there of things. And just from even the holes in Melich's report, there's holes all in it and misstatements. So, but there's also a lot of clues that Casey's been giving. And I guess that's what brings us, even before last night, there was a lot of concerns, a lot of red flags. My son and my husband and I have had an opportunity to get past that initial shock of not having Kaylee in our lives right now. We're starting to put things together, and it does make a lot of sense of what she's been saying all along, and she's doing the best she can, and I just want someone to hear what she's trying to say. When they released the videotapes of my husband and I in the jail last Friday, interviewing her, she said she wanted to speak with someone from your department. She does not have the faith in Detective Melich or Sergeant Allen. She also states that she would have been willing to speak with Happy Wells, who is a detective or one of the deputy sheriffs that was at our house from Tuesday late evening to Wednesday the 16th early morning, and that's in those videos. I don't know why that has not taken place. Both Orange County Sheriff's Department's aware of that, and so is her attorney. And I'm not sure why that communication's out there.
Let me breach that subject with you. Part of the problem is that Casey is a charged individual. She is a represented individual. If she says, I want to talk to the FBI, or she says, I want to talk to FDLE, or whomever she says to you, that's fine. But unless she calls me, I cannot initiate that contact at all, because she is a represented individual. If I were to want to talk to her, what I have to do is I have to go to her attorney.
Okay.
And that's the only way that I can talk to her. And your attorney is going to her attorney. I apologize. Her attorney is obviously going to have certain stipulations, certain rules about our conversation.
Right, I understand that.
My rules for Casey would be very simple. You were the last person with her. There have been inconsistencies and outright untruths that have been provided to law enforcement up to this point. What is going to change in our conversation that is going to help us find Kaylee? That's all I would want to know. Because, quite frankly, I've listened to a little bit of what she has told them and what she has done up to this point, and I think we would all be in agreement if we're looking at it from the outside in.
And not knowing what her motives are.
And not knowing what her motives are. There have been misleading things done by her on certain occasions with regard to finding Kaylee, not with regard to anything else, with regard to strictly finding Kaylee.
Right. Well, and I think understanding a little bit more every day, again, she's maintained from the day one that Kaylee was taken away from her. You know, she gave in good faith Kaylee to this person that day, and then was betrayed by that person. And that person has, is not bringing her back and is trying to make either some statement to Casey, which now makes more sense. I mean, I'm finding a little bit more out having a conversation with her that I didn't have an opportunity to speak with her those few hours that I had with her Wednesday morning before she went in. And understanding her fears. I mean, Casey's a lot like I am as far as regards. I would lay down my life for all of my children. If I knew right now that someone picked up the phone and says, this is Anthony, take a butcher knife and put it through your heart and we'll return Kaylee, I would do it without question. I would do that without question. And knowing Casey the way she is, she'll do anything to protect her daughter as far as if she feels that she's in harm's way or her family. And I hope you guys get to see the tapes of George and my first visitation with her, because she talks about this, that she is protecting the family. And I made her clarify that, because I said, what are you protecting the family with? If you're protecting about our feelings or what people might think, our lives are out there. I mean, there's nothing you can do that could hurt us any more than the loss of not having Kaylee with us and even having you where you're at.
Right.
She says it's not emotional, Mom, it's physical. So I have to believe that she's fearful that someone is threatening her daughter or one of us. And what I'm going to be telling you may make more sense to that. The more you start thinking. She told me, remember the conversations, Mom, when she talked to the detectives that night, she told them that she, couldn't take that hurt, them to Kaylee, okay? Right. Because she didn't know where Kaylee was at, but she knew who had Kaylee, okay? But she didn't